Hello guys, today I am back with a new episode of Beasts of Vavora. I know it's been a while, but this episode will be about a few ancient creatures that can be revived in a certain way that you will find out later. This episode is probably going to be the longest one because we have quite a few creatures to cover. But anyways, that way to revive them is these two giant snakes that live in the Cavern of Death and the Great Cave. And every 13 years or so, the rocks that they swallow will become crystals that they regurgitate, and those crystals have some sort of magical aging property that can age creatures up by 13 years. But if you use this crystal on a full skeleton, well then it'll turn into an egg, which you can then raise and hatch. Number 1 is the Hollow. They get their name because their fossils were found on the Hollow mountain range, which this is the mountain that surrounds the Jurassic Valley as of right now. They eat meat and they swallow rocks because if you look closely, you can see a small pink throat sac. And they will swallow these rocks and mix it up with their saliva, and they will shoot a breath of rocks, which can really hurt when it's concentrated in a large amount. They also are about this big compared to a human, and they live in the mountains and the Jurassic Valley. Also, all of these creatures were living in an ancient period, so their lung capacity isn't as developed for the oxygen today. So sometimes they will wheeze and cough if you bring them back to life. Next is Diablovinator. Its name means devil hunter. It gets this name because it will group up in packs of almost 200 and hunt the largest predators it can find. They will consume all of the meat in a few days, and the whole pack will be satisfied. Then they will all split up like they were normally hunting smaller prey. They eat meat, and they are not very big, but very dangerous when in maximum amounts. They lived in the Jurassic Valley and the jungle. They use their sharp sickle-like claws to use something that we call raptor prey restraints, where they will jump onto the prey and just start eating it alive. They're also not relatively big, but they have blue feathering, which in fact their feathering isn't actually blue. Like a blue jay, their feathers are gray, but in the sunlight they look blue. Next is Hapelonychus. Their name we don't actually know because these were one of the first ancient creatures ever discovered, and their names were lost in books and old memoirs. They ate plants, and they have a duck beak and this one large claw. They had green feathering to blend in with the jungle and forest biomes they lived in. They ate plants and would normally hang out in the swampy, most wet areas of the jungles and forests. They're also not relatively big for something this dangerous because they can use their whole body as a weapon. Their claws, their teeth, their tails, their heads, their legs. Also, yes, they have teeth for biting through hard roots. Next is Alurenzini. They lived in the kelp forest and the rocky shore. They ate plants, despite them looking like some more carnivorous dragons. They're not relatively large, but still very dangerous. They have many joints in their wings, so they can flex their wings in certain ways that wouldn't normally seem possible. They also have a rudder-like tail and can change colors to match the kelp that they're hiding in. The reason why they went extinct is because the certain type of kelp that they camouflaged into went extinct, and now they are extinct as a result too. This is Allorourke. Their name means different rock. The rourke part isn't actually translated to rock, but that is what it was meant to be. They eat meat and they have venomous teeth. They also started turning their hands into less like hands and more like sharp, bony, like pounders covered in spikes. And also, their evolution strategy isn't very much changed from what they are today. They used to live in the mountain, the Jurassic Valley, the Great Cave, Cavern of Death, and the beach. This is Hazigodactylus. They were large as Darchiad pterosaurs, and also one of the last of the pterosaur kind. They ate meat and lived in the ocean, the beach, and the islands. They went extinct because as soon as the wyverns and dragons started evolving, because they had stronger flight and were higher in numbers, and also some of them had elemental abilities like fire breath, they outcompeted the pterosaurs, and this was one of the last of them. They did go extinct, though. They also they have a throat sac, but not for breathing fire. Instead, they use it for mating displays, like a turkey. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Beasts of Avora, and also next time we will be covering the 2 giant snakes that made the crystals. Goodbye.